Tuscaloosa to frenzy.
And McClellan, he could go. Burst of speed. Alabama opens the Rashinda Reed era with a victory.
We talked about Alabama.
Alabama reaches the college cup for the first time.
Heisman Memorial Trophy.
The first soccer championship in school history.
Is still Alabama.
Welcome to another episode of Tide TV This Week. I'm Roger Hoover, joined by my co-host Kenzie Hughes. And Kenzie, we're already at week 3 of the college football season.
Hey, already at week 3, not to mention after a very eventful week 2, because it was the matchup of the week in college football. Number 3, Alabama, and the 10th ranked Texas Longhorns.
After trading field goals to begin the game, it was Texas scoring its first touchdown of the ball game on a 44-yard pass from Quinn Ewers to Xavier Worthy. That made it Texas 10 and Alabama 3. Both teams after that traded field goals before the half as Texas led at the break 13-6.
Things heated up for the Tide in the second half, though, as Alabama held Texas scoreless for the entire third quarter, outscoring the Longhorns 10-0. But this 51-yard Will Reichert field goal made it 13-9 Texas. But then Alabama took their first lead of the game. With just 14 seconds remaining in the third quarter, Jalen Milroe connected with Jermaine Burton for a 49-yard touchdown pass. The extra point made it 16-13 Bama.
However, Texas scored 2 touchdowns in less than a minute. First, a 7-yard touchdown pass, and then after an interception, the Longhorns scored on a 5-yard run to make it 27-16 Texas. Tide answered right back with a 39-yard touchdown pass, this time from Milroe to Amari Niblack. His second touchdown of the year cut the Texas lead at 5 to 27-22.
Needing a 2-point conversion to make it just a 3-point game, Milroe tossed it forward to Bond, who snatched it out of the air. He landed on his head, but he kept control of it with an incredible catch. That made it just a 3-point game at 27-24.
Texas responded with a 39-yard score of their own. Ewers to Adonai Mitchell gave Texas the 10-point lead. The Tide had one more shot to score, but the Longhorns forced a 3-and-out, and once they got the ball back, they held on to it for the final 7 minutes and 14 seconds of the game. The loss snapped the Tide's 43 consecutive home win streak against non-conference opponents, as well as Alabama's 21-game home winning streak.
If we can learn from some of the mistakes that we made, coaches and players alike, we can all get better and have a lot better opportunity, I think, to be successful in the future. But everybody's got basically 2 choices. You know, you can throw in the towel and quit and be mediocre, or you can fight and grind and do the hard things that you need to do to be successful. And I think you don't want to waste a failing, and we certainly don't want to waste this failing. So we're all going to be committed to trying to do things better, practice better, prepare better, have a better plan, you know, for the players, whatever it is, all of us, coaches and players alike. And it all starts with me, and I obviously let our team down in terms of, you know, how we were able to execute and play. We went back up and had like 10 penalties, 2 of which, you know, negated touchdowns. You know, they got 10 points off of turnovers, and we gave up way too many explosive plays on defense. And, you know, we have to correct all those things if we're going to be able to play and have the kind of team we're capable of having.
Despite the loss, Roger, it was still a great game and an amazing atmosphere on Saturday.
It really was a great atmosphere, beginning with ESPN College Game Day and SEC Nation. Also, so many things going on campus, including concerts leading right up to kickoff.
It was very exciting, and we talked about all eyes being on Tuscaloosa on Saturday night, and we've got the facts to back that up, Roger. 8.8 million viewers watched Alabama and Texas on Saturday night on ESPN. That's ESPN's most watched game since 2014. The game had a peak of 10.7 million viewers between 9:15 and 9:30.
To go along with those numbers, an additional 799,000 viewers watched the game on Field Pass with Pat McAfee on ESPN2. That is the most watched McAfee altcast.
We got some more stats this week too, Roger. Those would be the top 25 rankings.
As you would expect, the Tide dropped a little bit, and also Texas rose in the rankings after their big win against the Crimson Tide. In the Associated Press top 25, Georgia and Michigan remained 1 and 2, Florida State moved up to 3, and Texas entered the top 5 for the first time in 13 years as as the Longhorns are 4th, with USC at number 5. Tide slid down 7 spots to number 10.
And then over in the coaches poll, the top 3 are the same as the AP, but Ohio State is 4th with USC at number 5. The Longhorns are at 6th with the Tide at number 10.
Kenzie, college football is in full swing, and this past weekend, the NFL kicked off its season as well.
Finally, Roger, and you know the Crimson Tide have had more players on NFL rosters than any other school, and the Tide had 12 former players earn team captain status on their NFL squads. So you know there were some big-time performances this past weekend. And what we think was the top performance in the NFL this past week was Tua Tagovailoa. Tua passed for a league-high 466 yards with 3 touchdowns. Tua led the Dolphins to a come-from-behind victory with a 4-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill with 1:45 left in the game for the 36-34 win, as he was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Mac Jones finished with the 4th highest passing yards in the NFL this week. Mac totaled 316 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Calvin Ridley made a splash in his Jacksonville Jaguars debut, finishing with 8 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown.
Duval, and also in his NFL debut for the Detroit Lions on Thursday night, Brian Branch helped the Lions upset the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Branch intercepted a Patrick Mahomes pass, took it 50 yards to the house for the pick 6. Branch also added 3 tackles and a pass deflection in his first NFL game.
Also making his NFL debut was Will Anderson Jr. The rookie edge rusher sacked Lamar Jackson, finishing with 6 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, and 2 quarterback hits.
And Jonathan Allen had a stellar game as he began his 7th season in the league. The Washington Commanders defensive lineman had a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, and 3 quarterback hits in Washington's win over Arizona.
A big week for the Crimson Tide in the NFL, Roger, and those guys are just getting started.
Yes, we are, Kenzie. And for the Crimson Tide, they're back in action this Saturday. Coach Saban and the squad hit the road for the first time this season as the Tide travels to Tampa to take on South Florida. We'll have a preview of that matchup next, right here on Tide TV This Week.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. The Alabama football team is back in action this week as the Tide has their final non-conference game before they begin SEC play next weekend.
Alabama hits the road as they take on South Florida on Saturday. For a preview of the matchup between the Tide and the Bulls, our Christopher England joins us now. Christopher?
Alabama hits the road for the first time this season as the Tide travels to Tampa to take on South Florida. This will be a 2-for-1. Alabama plays at South Florida this year, with the Bulls making the return trip to Tuscaloosa twice, scheduled for 2024 and 2026. Alabama and South Florida have only played once, with the Tide winning that one 40-17 back in 2003 in Birmingham, the last game the Tide ever played at Legion Field. In that matchup, Charlie Pepper got the Tide on the board first with this interception. He returned 51 yards for the touchdown. Brody Corral connected with Triandos Luke for the Tide's second score. Then running back Shad Williams scored 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, and then this one. Williams took the punt and ran it all the way back 73 yards for the score. It was the first win in the Mike Shula era as the Tide rolled big in their last game at Legion Field, 40-17. South Florida hasn't beaten a ranked team in their last 14 tries, and the Bulls entered this matchup with a 10th-ranked Crimson Tide 1-1. South Florida took a loss in their opening game of the season against Western Kentucky in Bowling Green. South Florida trailed 24-17 in the third quarter, but tied the game on this 28-yard touchdown run from Byron Brown. But Western Kentucky answered right back with a 51-yard touchdown strike to go ahead 31-24 as the Hilltoppers tacked on 10 more from there to defeat the Bulls 41-24. South Florida got their first win of the season last week at home against Florida A&M. The defense forced 5 turnovers, including 3 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles, as the Bulls defeated the Rattlers 38-24. Alex Golesh is in his first season as head coach at South Florida. This is his first head coaching job, but the Crimson Tide is very familiar with him. Golesh spent the 2021 and 22 seasons as offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Volunteers. Do-it-all quarterback Byron Brown leads the South Florida offense that is averaging 31 points per game. The redshirt freshman is the Bulls' leading passer and rusher. Brown has completed 51% of his passes for 363 yards with 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. On the ground, Brown has rushed 42 times for 183 yards and has scored all 4 of South Florida's rushing touchdowns while averaging 4.4 yards per carry. Brown can do it all, but he does need someone to throw it to, and that's junior wideout Sean Atkins, as he leads the team with 10 receptions, while junior wide receiver Caffrey Brown leads the team with 109 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. On defense, South Florida has allowed 65 points over their first 2 games, including an FCS opponent. However, the Bulls defense posted 12 tackles for loss and created 5 turnovers in last week's win, including 3 interceptions. But for the Tide, no matter who the opponent is, the focus is on themselves and playing to the Alabama standard.
We have to have better execution. We got to do simple things better, whether it's pass protection, blocking, controlling the line of scrimmage, not giving up big plays on defense, whatever. Those are the things that are going to change. So the focus is 100% on how we get it turned around. You know, the future is now. All right, so how do we get our players to, we got to do a better job as coaches to help them be able to play, better, more consistently in the game, put them in a position where they have the best chance to be successful. But I think all these things are fixable, very fixable.
This is a chance for the Tide to get things back on track, win out, and everything they want to accomplish is still on the table, including the SEC and national championships. Kickoff is scheduled for 2:30 at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. The game will be televised on ABC. Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV this week coming up next.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. The Alabama soccer team played a couple of matches this past week, one on the road and a big matchup at home against one of the top teams in the nation.
Yes, the first of those was this past Thursday night in Hattiesburg as the Crimson Tide took on Southern Miss. Tide got off to a hot start and were already up by 1 less than 10 minutes into the match. Then, just over 20 minutes in, John Paul wrestles with a defender, takes her shot with this wild bounce off the crossbar and to the back of the Southern Miss goalie to make it a 2-0 win for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Then on Sunday, Alabama was back at home to take on the 3rd-ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. The game was scoreless until the second half, when North Carolina's Avery Patterson landed this shot into the bottom corner of the net. But West Hart's squad responded late in the match to tie things up with this goal from guess who? You know who, Roger. Gianna Paul. She steps up all the time, gets the pass, gets blocked by the UNC goalie, then gets back up, beats the incoming tackle to get the ball in the back of the net. That would be the final goal of the match, with the Tide and the 3rd-ranked Tar Heels finishing in 1-1 tie.
Game, I think I mentally approach the exact same. Obviously, when you're playing a team like UNC, there's a little more mental prep that goes into it, knowing how talented they are. But I think going into it, I think I played the same way I always do. I think the team showed up the same way they always do, and I think we rose to the occasion.
It was great. It was great. I'm not gonna lie that it felt good. It felt good. Obviously, we hadn't been on the board yet, which is always the next step. But just in terms of applying pressure to them and controlling the game, I thought we did extremely well in that first half. So I know we came in there with some things we wanted to fix, but we also came in there with our heads held very high.
The 1-1 tie with the 3rd-ranked Tar Heels makes it 3 ties in the last 4 games for the Crimson Tide. And you know how much I love a tie, Roger.
I've heard those thoughts too many times.
To put that into perspective, Alabama had only 1 tie the entire year last year.
Absolutely. That is pretty remarkable. A great performance from the Tide against the Tar Heels. And with that, Alabama moved back into the top 10, as the Tide is now ranked 7th in this week's rankings.
Stay with us. We've got some Alabama volleyball action for you next, right here on Tide TV This Week. Welcome back. I'm Kinsey Hughes. He's Roger Hoover. And Roger, Rashinda Reed's squad has had some great momentum since her arrival in 2021.
They definitely have, but they faced one of their first tests of the season this past week in Texas A&M Commerce. Alabama dropped their first match 3-2 to Texas A&M Commerce, but bounced back against Tarleton State. After dropping the first 2 sets in the game against Tarleton State, the Crimson Tide rallied in a huge way, pulling the reverse sweep to take the match after winning the final 3 sets. Callie Kiefer stepped up big with a season-high 59 assists, her second game of the year with 50 or more.
The Crimson Tide capped its weekend off with a Sunday sweep versus tournament host UAB. Sophomore Micah Grenowitz led the team with 13 kills, keeping her double-digit kill streak alive for the 4th straight match.
Senior Kendall Ray also stepped up with a near double-double, tallying 9 kills and 10 digs on the match, marking their 6th sweep of the season under head coach Rashinda Reed's 2nd year with the Crimson Tide.
This past weekend at the Blazer Classic wrapped up the Crimson Tide's early season tournaments, and now they moved to regular season travel. Aaliyah
Wells and company traveled to Troy University on September 14th before returning home to face Grambling State at home for Crimson Chaos Night on Saturday the 16th at 5 p.m.
That's right, so be sure to come out and be loud for our Crimson Tide volleyball team as they gear up to start SEC play.
Stay with us, we'll have our plays and players of the week coming up next.
TideTV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
And you're making an impact, Bama fans.
The Lights of Tuscaloosa. What a finish we're in store for.
If you're looking to visit this stadium. They got it figured out here.
It's more than a buzz at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's electric. Here comes the Tide.
I'm telling you, this place is rocking right now at Bryant-Denny.
Legacies rise from purpose. They're developed through passion, determination, and the power to follow through. This is where ambition meets opportunity. What happens next is up to you. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
That's going to drop in. A real chance toward the goal line. It's in. Gianna Paul. Alabama level. That's wild.
Of this match. Born in Alabama has done it. A 5th shutout this season, a 3rd straight shutout.
That's a really good pass to Ray, as she'll get the final point of the match as Alabama will win in straight sets.
And Brooks fighting. I don't think he got there. Dallas Turner wrapped him up. Noah scoops it up, has time, and delivers over the middle. And the catch is made by Kniblack, and he's into the end zone. Somehow eludes tacklers in Alabama. Not done yet. Milrow again has to elude pressure. Launches downfield. And it's caught for a touchdown by Jermaine Burton.
Those are our plays of the week, brought to you by Legacy of Hope. We're coming towards the ends of this episode of TideTV This Week, and you know what that means.
It's time to highlight some of the Crimson Tide athletes that stepped up big this past week. So let's take a look at our players of the week. Starting off with the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, Gianna Paul. Paul scored 2 goals this past week, one in the 79th minute to force the tie against the number 2 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels.
Will Reichert had a huge game for the Crimson Tide football team as he had 11 points, connecting on all 3 field goal attempts in the Crossbar Classic, including a season-long 51-yarder.
And the punter from down under, James Burnip, averaged 52.6 yards per boot with a career-long 61-yard punt, leaving the Longhorns inside the 20 on 3 of his 5 kicks.
And Kendall Ray has been an absolute machine from the service line as she leads the SEC, currently tied for 8th place nationally in total aces with 21 on the season thus far. Congratulations to our Legacy of Hope Players of the Week with some really impressive performances in their respective sports.
Absolutely, Roger. And athletes like these keep everything just extremely exciting for us, so we're really lucky to have them in Crimson. But how have the guys and gals that used to wear the script been doing lately?
Well, former Alabama tennis standout Erin Routliffe has been very hot of late as she and her teammate Gabby Dabrowski won the doubles Grand Slam title in their first U.S. Open appearance just a week after taking down the #1 doubles team in the world. Also moving over to the Dirt Diamond, we wanted to extend a huge thank you to former associate head coach Allison Habits. Habits helped guide Alabama softball to 14 World Series appearances and 11 SEC titles and is retiring after 25 incredible years with the program.
Though we will absolutely miss Coach Allie's infectious energy, the Alabama softball team is in great hands with former national champion and 3-time All-American Caleb Breaux joining the staff this coming season as an assistant coach. Breaux rejoins Patrick Murphy's squad after serving as a softball TV analyst with ESPN and the SEC Network for the past 8 years.
Well, it was quite a roller coaster of emotions this week as a Crimson Tide fan, but hey, that's college sports for you.
Hey, but you know what the best part is? Win, lose, or draw, we'll be right here every week to tell you guys all about it. Have a great week, everyone. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,